Hello paper crafters, I'm Sunny Sky and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today we're focusing on a few products on this project. The first is the fine tip glue pen, and then also the blender pen, which you can use for watercoloring, and then we're also going to use some vellum. So I thought I would just show you those products that we are featuring today. And this is the card that we're making. And this is from the Perfect Mix stamp set. Perfect Mix. And then we're also using one of the Sale-a-bration free items, the Delicate Detail stamp set as well. I've also made a couple other cards with this set. Here's one with the Easter eggs, or the regular eggs from that same set. Here's where I turned them into Easter eggs, and I used a little glitter paper, and that was also a Sale-a-bration free item, just to mark out that you're one in a dozen, so just to make that one egg stand out. So this is the card we are doing, and these are the sizes of cardstock that you will need. This is envelope paper, or you could use any designer paper that you like. It's 3 by 4, so you're going to get 4 out of one sheet, so it's a good paper saving size. And then if you layer it on a slightly larger sheet of cardstock that from your standard 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, you're going to get 6 from there. So with 2 pieces of standard cardstock and 1 sheet of 12 by 12 paper, you could make 12 cards. I also have another piece here that's a scrap. It's made to look like, we're kind of have the idea that this vellum is like a tablecloth, and you could sort of see the back of the table behind where your sentiment is sitting on the tablecloth, and then the table. So this piece of crumb cake here is just a scrap. It is 3 inches by 1 1/4, but you could vary that a little bit. And then I've cut a circle here. This is about 2 3/4 inch, and this circle is about 3.5 inches. And those are just approximate sizes. You do whatever you like. Based on different stamps that I'm using in the set, I cut some ovals as well, like the egg carton is in an oval, and these teaspoons are in the circle. So this is the set, and this set does come really full if you get the wood mount. It is crammed in there. There is one way to fit it, and that's all. So I took a photograph of the stamps in their positions and printed it out and just put it in, slid it inside the cover of this case, so I would remember where to put the things back so that I could fit them back into the case. Okay, I'm going to start by doing my piece with the vellum. Because the vellum takes a while to dry, I want to do it first so it has a little chance to dry while I'm working on the rest of the card. So this is the stamp set that you can earn free with your Sale-a-bration money, and because the vellum is sort of white or clearish, you want to have a dark background to see it the best to line this up. And this is one really neat thing about the curve and the photopolymer stamps, and I've showed you this before, is that you can see the stamp below it, and then you can also curve the image. So I've just put the piece of vellum down below my clear block just so that I can line up how big I want the curve of the stamp to be. And that will just stay on the block there, and then we'll get ready to stamp that. I have put some foam down underneath my piece of grid paper here so that I get that cushion. You know, that's important when you've got the photopolymer stamps. They don't have a cushion on the back of them. So we just create that under the image. It just helps if there are any inconsistencies in the image or in the cardstock, that you're going to get a nice smooth impression on your stamp. Fuller, better coverage. So we just stamp that down. Alright, and that is going to take a while to dry, so I'm going to set that aside and work on the rest of the card. We've got another image to stamp, and that's from this Perfect Mix set, and this is a wood mount stamp, so I do not need the cushion behind there, but I've got it. I might as well use it. It won't hurt. And I'm just going to stamp this teaspoon set here. Alright, I do have a little sponging I'm going to do while I just give that ink just a second to dry. This circle is done with the Shimmery white cardstock. And if I'm going to watercolor, the Shimmery white or the watercolor paper are usually my choices. They're a little bit thicker, more substantial than your standard whispered white cardstock. And the Shimmery is smoother than the watercolor paper. so it's easier to ink that up and get the impression that you want. So it does have a bit of a shimmer background texture to it. It's not as white as your Whisper White, and it's also not as tan as your Very Vanilla. So it doesn't quite match either of those. So I try not to put it right next to regular cardstock, just because it's not quite the same. So I'm just going to watercolor in here. I'm just using my blender pen, and this is a glycerin mix. And it just gives you a little bit more deep color, rich color, than if you use the aqua painters or the water pens. And the fine tip on these gives you a little bit more control. And if you find that your ink is too dark, just rub it off on your scrap a little bit, because as you keep continuing to work on this, it's going to pale out. And then when you go to switch colors, just twist and wipe, and that's going to clean that off. It does stain the tip, but it's going to make sure that you are not getting the color into your next ink pad. And then I'm just going to use this Watermelon Wonder, because I just want to set this 1 teaspoon apart a little bit. So this is probably some paprika or some cumin or some cayenne that's in that particular thing. And I'm just squishing the tops of my ink pads to just get ink onto the base of the ink pad. And this is Smoky Slate that I'm going to use just for these measuring spoons, for the little bit of the metallic look for them. And then because this is for a special person, it says no one measures up to you, I'm going to just help one of these measuring spoons stand out. And of course I'm going to use the one with the red, because that's a different color. So it's already standing out because I've changed the color on it. But I'm also going to use the fine tip glue pen. And we used to sell Crystal Effects, and we now have this, which is the same kind of thing, but you just get you can just control the application a little better. So not only is it glue, but it's also going to give you a sheer, smooth, glistening coating. So I'm just rubbing that around and getting a little bit of that glue on top of where the contents of that measuring spoon are. Just need to try and get this closed now. It is a little tough to get that thing back on there, as you would expect with something that thin and precise. Alright, so let me show this to you. So you see that one spoon there is kind of shimmery and shiny where I've put that fine tip glue pen on there. Alright, okay, so I've got my full card here. It's just an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock cut in half, and then I've taken half of it and scored it in half. And we'll put our 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 layer of cardstock on here. I'm just giving my measuring cup image a little bit of time to dry, and also my vellum, giving it a little bit more time to dry while I layer these pieces of cardstock on here. Now I had the Delightful Dijon showing, but I'm going to use this Watermelon Wonder. I had also cut out some of them. I'm going to use that on this impression since I have the spoon that the contents that I'm highlighting that are in the Watermelon Wonder. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of contrast there. And then I'm just going to add my little table here. And I'm going to put some adhesive just along the top strip where I can attach my piece of vellum. And this is still not totally dry, so I've just got to be a little careful here. And I'm just going to line up that image with the edge of the cardstock up there. And you can see that my adhesive is showing through the vellum a little bit. That is one of the challenges with the vellum. So you want to put the adhesive where you won't see it. So I knew that at the top of my little tablecloth there I was going to have the teaspoon image on top of there, so that's where I chose to glue it down to the card. where I could hide it. And I've just put some dimensionals there, again because my ink is still a little wet. And we're just going to attach this on top with some dimensionals. And I'm not quite straight there. I forgot to look at the words and not just the image to see how to line it up. Alright, so there's that, and there's one more little thing we're just going to add here, and that is some of this Baker's Twine. And I don't have the colors on hand to totally match this, but these are kind of earthy colors that I think will go pretty good. Alright, I've got the green and the brown, and I'm just going to make a little bow. So I'm just going to do my 2 rabbit ears, twist the one down inside of the other, and that bow is going to be bigger than I want it, but this gives me room to play with it and snug it up a little bit until I get the look that I want. Alright, and this just adds a little bit more dimension to your card. With the bow, bow is certainly not necessary. And these are some mini glue dots. I got these out of my paper pumpkin kit, so they look a little different. They're not on the roll that you'd usually see them on. So I'm just going to get that glue dot attached well to the back of that bow. Get the backing off, and then because my spoon is on this side, I think I'll put the bow on this side of this card. Just snip off the ends there. Alright, so there's my finished card. This other one looks like I put the bow on the other side, used a couple different colors. There's my Easter egg one. I mean my regular egg one, I keep saying that. And this one I took one of the eggs and put that fine tip glue pin on it so you can see that one egg is glistening there. And then this one I made the other one stand out with the glitter. For that I just stamped this image on the back of the glitter paper and then cut out the one egg. It's a pretty even image on both sides, so you can flip it and it'll still be the same thing. So thank you for joining me today. Please share this video with a friend, subscribe to my YouTube channel, shop on my website if you don't already have a demonstrator, and go have some fun crafting.